Quick introduction. My name's Nick Painz. I've hosted a bunch of these before, so if you've been on, you've probably seen me before. This is an AI workshop, which is pretty awesome. So Workman has a handful of tools, and we're going to give you access to these resources, which is just really cool. So if you're not using AI, AI is not going to replace us, guys. It's really just going to enhance us. It's really going to take us to kind of the next level that people can leverage their time using some of this stuff. So I'm going to show you how to like really put into play using some of the systems that we've developed. I'm going to teach you and walk you through how we use these things to save ourselves time when doing market analysis, when putting together just overall, like how we're going to talk to a client at our next listing appointment, and just show you we're going to start at a macro level, really kind of wide level, and then we're going to break it down to actually like what the conversations look like when we're talking to our clients. And we're going to have AI help us with all of that. So I'm going to show you what it is, and then we've got resources that we'll release to you guys that you guys will have access to. So let's get it started. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we'll get going with our slideshow to start, and then we'll get into some of the resources. So I'm going to spend a few minutes just on the slideshow going through kind of what we're going to be talking about today and how we break it down, and then we'll go from there. So you get to see a picture of me without my beard. Still to be known whether or not I'm going to hang on to the beard or not. So we'll decide here in the probably next month. It's either going to get shaven off or I'll decide to keep it longer. So anyway, I am a senior coach for Workman Success Systems. I work out of Denver, Colorado. I run a team here. I was a managing broker for many years with Remax. And most importantly, yes, I am a dog owner, and I have two amazing Bernese Mountain Dogs that are asleep behind me. So anyway, that's me. So let's talk a little bit about where real estate tech is right now. The issue that we run into in this day, and we kind of talked about it briefly, is that it's not that we don't have access or we don't have enough information in our businesses. It's we really don't know how to structure all the information that we're getting to present it to our clients. And I think the biggest thing that we run into right now is that there has never been a time more in our business or in our careers that we are being double checked and we are being fact checked more now than ever. So anything you say to your clients, I promise you is being fact checked, because my mom, who's 73 years old, is using ChatGPT right now. She's taking all of her photos and she's dropping it in there. She's asking it questions about what, they're having their basement remodeled right now, and she's double checking what the contractors are telling them, and she's double checking what I'm telling them. Right? So when I went in and I said, Mom, Dad, you guys have 9-foot ceilings. You can't put 2-inch trim board in. You got to put a bigger trim board. And then they're going in and they're fact checking it in ChatGPT. So everybody's using it, guys. We've got to be prepared for that. And we can be better prepared for our client conversations. And then when we're armed with that knowledge, we know that we can be more confident going into these, okay? So this is where AI becomes the advantage that we have, is that we can use all these things to be really prepared and confident when we have our conversations. Okay, so here's the way that we build out the framework. And framework is essentially the baseline of everything that we do at Workman Success Systems, right? Like system framework, we build everything on framework. So the framework with AI is we build 3 core systems, okay? So we're taking the basic and generic components of whatever the conversation is or whatever the meeting is that we're gonna have, okay? And we're creating structured like systems that are designed around the conversations and the challenges that we face every single day. So that's what we do. That's what we do as coaches. That's what we do as a company. Okay. So we're going to start again from the macro side. We have the CMA, or the market storyteller. Okay. So we're going to do this through Claude, and I'm going to walk you through it today, and we're going to give you the exact prompts that you need to do exactly what I'm going to do today. Okay. So you're going to take the data that we all have access to. We have data through the MLS. We have data through the National Association of Realtors, whatever it is that you have, okay, that you use to collect data on your market. We're going to take that information and we're going to drop it into Claude. Okay, we're going to take that raw MLS data and it'll turn it into these narratives and these conversations that we can have that turn us into, like I said, kind of that trusted local expert. So we're not just going to be sitting in front of people like handing them, which is what I've done forever because I'm kind of a stats nerd. Okay, I like to take stats to my listing appointments and show them bar graphs and charts and things like that and go, this is what the market does, and look at the seasonality and look at the trends. AI makes this more like better from a client facing standpoint, right? So how many of you guys have done like a disc profile or have done some type of personality test that knows like what type of personality you are, right? So perfect. I think most of us have in some way, shape, or form, or at least we understand it, right? So if I'm a high C, which I am, I'm a high DC, okay, but mostly a high C. I'm very data driven. So when I pull these charts out, or somebody pulls charts out with me or an Excel spreadsheet with me, I'm like, I'm all in. I'm like, I'm hiring Mia. She brought charts. She brought Excel spreadsheets. She's awesome. Like that's the one for me. But how do you think I interact with all the S's and all the I's in the disk profile when I bring a bunch of charts and data and Excel spreadsheets to them? Like it doesn't hit. It falls completely short. And so what do they end up doing? They end up hiring the agent that, let's be honest, we all know this person out there where we think, I don't even know how that person sells houses. They know nothing about real estate. They're just really nice. Or did they just like, I'll tell you, I always say this about when people review me at the end of the transaction, I don't want to be like, oh, Nick was so nice. Like that's not a compliment to me. I want somebody to be like, Nick was just like the most shrewd negotiator and knew every corner of the market. Like that's a compliment to me, right? So how do we make it so that we can take this data and not have the same presentation? Because I know that there's going to be a lot of clients that it's not going to hit home with, right? So we can use AI to push those presentations in a way that maybe I'm not familiar with or that I'm not good at developing because of my high C personality, right? All right, so we're going to go through and we'll do Claude with that. So we're going to walk through Claude, but I want you to understand Claude does the macro side. Okay, we're going to look at like what is the story of what our market's doing. Okay, and what's going to happen is when we do this storyteller piece through Claude, then we end up with these deliverables for the client. We have a market snapshot. We have kind of a client-ready email or newsletter, and then we also create internal notes for us as agents. So these are the insights for how you're actually going to present the data to the people. So there's a piece that is client facing, and then there's a piece that's agent facing. Hey, here's the data that we're providing. Here's how you're going to actually present it to your client. It's very thorough, it's very comprehensive, and I think it's just a very valuable product. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do after we create this market data is we create what's called the listing intelligence brief. Okay. So we have a prompt that you're going to build within ChatGPT. Again, once I get through these slides here in a couple minutes, we're going to come back and we're going to do all these things. Okay. So the ChatGPT, we have we essentially create an assistant out of ChatGPT, and they are specifically designed to create the presentation and the pre-listing material that sometimes we take forever to do, and it creates it in a way that is, again, client facing and like just saves us tons of time, right? So we can focus on the conversations, and that we're going to save all this time because we're not having to develop the data anymore. Okay. All right. So the last thing that we're going to look at is something that's actually within the Workman database. So we actually have proprietary AI that's within Workman that we are now releasing to people that aren't even Workman clients. So you have the ability to use what's called the Workman role play bot. So now that we have the macro market data, and then we have the more micro listing presentation information for a particular property, now what we can do is we can take all the agent facing information and we can push it into the role play bot, which allows us to actually have a conversation. The bot is built like a client. You tell it how you want it to react. You tell it how difficult of a client you want it to be, and you push through real life situations so that it can give you objections before you ever go on the appointment, that you can practice the conversations. It's brilliant stuff. We have our team members using it. We have a lot of clients using it, and it's awesome. It's awesome stuff. And it's actually kind of fun to play with. I was talking to somebody at Workman the other day, and I told them I use the role play bot. And there's two things that happen. One, I make my agents on my team use it, and until they can pass the role play bot, meaning they can get an appointment at a certain level, they're not allowed to take live lead calls. Like if they can't convert at a certain level, they can't take live lead calls. The other thing I told them that I did that was just kind of fun, I try to start the conversation by like slightly offending the bot and then see if I can recover it and still get the appointment, right? So, because you guys don't realize this, but especially if we're cold calling or we're calling expireds, I can tell you the second they answer the phone, they're in a standoff position. They're almost in an offended position. Like, why are you calling, right? And I can tell you if you call up and you go, hey, this is Danny from such and such real estate. They're already like, stop. Why are you calling me, right? So we even teach people how to that opening statement. What does it look like? It's not like, hi, my name is Nick Painz and I'm calling on your expired listing on 123 Main Street. Are you still looking to sell that property? Like, you're just gonna get hung up on, right? So how do we find a way to like get that person, the role play bot? How do we get them to the point where we get an appointment? Okay. So Verl, who I think did a presentation like this not too long ago, and is constantly talking about this because he believes in the development and the movement in our industry, which is tech and AI based. Technology isn't replacing the great agents; it's amplifying the ones who prepare differently. I think that's really important. I mentioned that before we even started the slides, and it is a really important thing to understand that if you're not adopting the tech and you're not adopting AI, you're going to get left behind. And you might be one of those agents that go, I don't believe that to be true, but if that was true, you probably wouldn't be on this call today. But I can tell you there were many agents back in the 1990s that did not want to adopt the internet, that thought that like, we're not going to sell homes like that. We're not going to have an online MLS. We're going to use the book. We're going to use the big yellow book, right? So, all right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go in and feed the data, and this is what I'm going to demonstrate. So we'll hop on these and actually do it after this. We're going to feed it the data. We're going to set up the framework. We're going to run a practice session, okay, with the role play bot, and then we're going to go in and actually have our appointment, okay? So we are going to go into now, and we're going to start our first piece, and I'm going to walk through all this with you together, and then we're going to give you the prompts, okay? So April, can we make sure that in the chat we have this PDF that people have access to? Perfect. So this is your first thing that you need. So if you can grab this in the chat and you can download it, because you guys can either do this alongside with me right now, or you can watch it and do it later. It's up to you. But these are the step-by-step instructions of what you're going to do. So we're going to go through and kind of do this together. I've already preemptively prepared materials because we have limited time today. So I've prepared some of this stuff, but I'm going to show you how it works, right? So the first thing that we're going to do is right here, we're going to go into Claude AI. So I have got my Claude AI opened up right here. So here's that Claude AI. That's where it's opened up, okay? We're gonna open our name and our profile icon down at the bottom. So we'll go back to Claude and you'll see, sorry, I need to move this here. Down here in the bottom, okay? Even if you're on a free or a paid plan, down here in the bottom, you're just gonna click this, okay? And then you're gonna go into your, you'll go into your settings section, okay? So inside your settings instruction section is going to be where you can put in your custom instructions. Okay, and when you go in and you set your custom instructions, you're going to see a large empty text box. And what we're going to do is we're going to highlight and copy this CMA storyteller text that's at the bottom. So if you scroll all the way down, for those of you that have used any type of prompting with any type of AI before, this is our prompt. So starting from this first hashtag, you're going to copy this entire piece, and this is telling our AI exactly what we want it to do. Okay, so the role in the context is that the AI is going to act like they're a real estate expert, okay, and data analyst, marketing strategist, and coaching director. Okay, their job is to transform the raw MLS data into statistics and turn them into compelling, easy to understand narrative. Okay, so they have all of this stuff that they're going to do. We put that into to that piece, and then we create a project. So once we go in, then we create this project, and you're going to see that here. So once we've done this, we're going to save and close. Your next account, this is if you did a paid account, but your next step is how to get your output, which is run the skill. So you're going to open up a fresh chat, okay? Start new chat, and you're going to get your local MLS data. Okay, I'm going to walk you through this real quick because some people actually don't know how to do this. And one thing I found is that many of you, well, I should see real quick. How many of you guys use a form of matrix? Because I know matrix is is national. So I know they use this in Atlanta. Danny, you have Matrix? Cool. So I'm going to walk through this real quick, but many of you will use some form of matrix regardless of the market that you're in. And so the MLS looks really similar. If you're not using matrix, just watch how I go through this because you will likely see similarities or know how you pull this data. Let me pull the chat here real quick. Any alternatives for Canadians? Mia, alternatives to what? Do you not have access to the AI or don't have access to the
We have a different platform for the data, real estate data, and only realtors can access. And I tried in the past, and AI cannot access it.
So even if you download the data, it can't you can't download the data from your MLS and then have it access itself or and then upload the data via PDF or Excel into the AI?
Okay, I could do that, yeah.
Okay, so that's what I'm going to teach you right here. Okay, so
Okay.
so here's what I do, and I'm going to do the one that I already did. I'll show you real quick. So the way that I do this is, let's say and you can use this for multiple things, and I would encourage you. One, what we're going to do is kind of use it for like a listing appointment, but I think this is a great way. If Janice comes to me as a client and Janice says, Nick, I'm looking to sell my home, but probably not until next May once my kids graduate. Like, is that a fairly typical conversation that we have for sellers? That they give you the timeline, and that timeline is really not going to change. Like, Janice isn't going to move before her kids graduate. They're seniors in high school. She's not going to pull them out before that. So I'm not going to move her through the funnel with why you should sell now conversations, right? If Janice's kids are seniors in high school, it doesn't matter if the peak market is in September. She's not going to pull her kids. So I'm not having the typical try to move them through the funnel conversations, right? I'm not calling Janice and saying, hey, well, Janice, I know you're not looking to sell until next May, but would you be open to discussing why it might be better to sell in the fall? Because Janice is going to go, no, I have kids that are in high school for the third or fourth time. You're not listening to what I'm telling you. I'm going to sell in May or June, right? So instead, what does that conversation look like? Janice says, Nick, I'm going to sell in May when my kids graduate. I go, oh, that's fantastic. Janice, would you mind in the meantime if I just kind of kept you up to date on your local market and actually your neighborhood about what's going on in there? And then maybe sometime in January or February, we'll just reconnect and maybe come take a look at the property and see what we need to do to prep. Would that be okay with you? And Janice goes, that's great. And I go, beautiful. So I'll stay in touch each month with a quick market report. Now, this is what I do for Janice. Okay. I come in here and Janice is going to live where I tell her she's going to live because I'm going to run this report. Janice is going to live in this little Westminster community that I know very well. It's right around this golf course right here. So this is the way I like to do it, guys. I open up my map and I find, look at all these listings we have. You guys should move to Colorado. Okay. So I take this little community called Highland Greens and I draw my little block around it. Oops, I missed this little corner here. Okay, and I draw this block around it. Okay, so now I go back to my criteria and I just say, hey, I've got this block and I want to pull anything that's been doing anything in the last 6 months, my actives. Okay, and now all I'm going to do is go to my results. And in the bottom, you should be able to check all, and I'm in my wrong account, so it's not going to work, but there's an export function here, and this is in Matrix. Okay, and when I click export, I wonder if it'll let me change on this page. I have to be under my personal account. That's the problem. Ooh, okay, it did it. So here we go. So I'm going to click export. And what's going to happen is it's going to say, what do you want to export? And I go, I'm going to export everything. So I want to do what's called a full export. And I'm not going to do it because I have limited amounts and I already pulled it yesterday. Okay, so it's going to pull this export and it's an Excel spreadsheet that has every piece of information about the listings in that Excel spreadsheet. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come to Claude and I'm going to open up my market update generator. Okay, and it's going to say, hey, what do you want to do? And it knows because I already prompted it when I put that CMA analysis in my thing here. That's when I built this project. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up Highland Greens, which is what we just pulled. Okay, and here's what we did. Okay, we'll scroll to the top because I already completed it. Okay, and now what we're going to do, we'll go back to our Claude instructions, and it says right here, All you have to do is paste your stats. Well, I went next level, right? Here it tells you just put, hey, Claude, here are the stats for this Pacific Beach, or in my case, Highland Greens. And you maybe did this research yourself. Average price is 1.5, inventory is down, days on market is 27. I gave it the entire MLS data and let it look for that stuff itself. Okay, so now all I did is I said, hey, Claude, here are the things, and all I have to do is hit enter. I don't have to prompt it anymore because I gave it the initial CMA storyteller prompt already through the project. Okay, so now what happens is here's my CSV that I uploaded, and I said, hey, Claude, here are the market stats for Highland Greens in Westminster, Colorado for the 6 months. Please evaluate the data, follow the instructions in this project. That's all I have to do. Okay, it took a couple of minutes, and here it is. I pulled the last 6 months of Highland Greens data. 12 closed, 5 acting, 2 pending, 1 expired. 1 built out, blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but you can see here's median sales price, median days on market, and then this is really cool. One flag worth noting, the data set, because I just drew a box, right? And I forgot that in my Highland Greens neighborhood, there's a little pocket. It's one cul-de-sac of 5 homes that are custom builds. Okay, so here we go. It noticed it. It found it because it sold. Hey, one thing worth noting, this data set includes an outlier. It's a 7,100 square foot custom home that sold for 1.4 million. And it really changed our data. So I leaned on median instead of mean to have accuracy. Let me know if you'd want to skip it. And I said, yep, let's pull that out. Let's get rid of that one data piece. It says perfect. So now I updated it and here it is. Okay, so the story actually gets cleaner without that home in it. I'm sure it does because it doesn't belong in there. Okay, and so here we go. So now we end up with this Highland Greens market report, right? That is now downloadable that I can send to Janice and say, Janice, here's your monthly update, by the way. Okay, and once I got good at this, I mean, I'm teaching you guys through it, and that took me, what, 3 minutes? So once you get good at this, this will take 60 seconds. So when Janice comes up in my ML or in my CRM next month that says, hey, Janice is a C lead. She's 9 months out. She's not selling till May, but you owe her a conversation. I can run this really quick, pull the updated market report, tell Claude or tell ChatGPT, hey, put this in email form, create the market report that I can send to Janice for her monthly update. I email it to her, and then I send Janice a quick text or call, whatever she prefers. And I say, hey, Janice, I just sent you your updated market report for the month. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope school year is going well for your kids. That's it. That is my C-lead follow-up. That's it. That's all I got to do. Okay. So now we have all this information. We've got the Highland Greens market report. Okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to push it over, and we use ChatGPT for this piece. Okay. So I thought I had my ChatGPT open. Where is it? I don't. So I'll pull it.
Nick, Mia in the chat is asking if we can view the generated report.
Yes, of course. I think. So here it is. It pops up on this side in Claude, which is really nice. This is a nice feature that I don't think ChatGPT has. Also Workbook, or is it Workbook? What's the one that's in Google?
Notebook, LLM.
Notebook. That one's really cool. That one has all these different sections. But so here you go. So here's what your report looks like. Okay, here's the market snapshot. 11 homes, what it means, median sales price, median time on market. Like this should be really interesting for people in this neighborhood. Median days on market is 7 days. Our overall market's like 45 to 60 here. Right? This is another thing. So people that are looking at the Colorado market and they'd be like, oh, the Colorado market, real estate market sucks, which a lot of people are saying that right now. Not in this neighborhood. Sellers are getting 100% of their list price and 99.3 of their original asking price. That's pretty darn good. I don't know about you guys' markets, but there's not many anymore where you can go in and say, hey, we're going to list for 700 and we'll probably get 695 or better. Like, dang, that's good. I think you look like a genius. If you land within 1% of your list price, guys, I think you're doing a great job. I don't think any client could ever expect anything more than to be more than, better than 1% accurate. That's incredible. Okay. 2 homes are selling per month. We got 2.7 months of supply. Here's the local narrative. Okay, section 2, here's the email newsletter, right? So now what I do is I just take this and I go, hi, Janice, I want to share a quick update on what's happening in your neighborhood. So can I copy and paste these stats? Sure, that's a snapshot. You're welcome to create that and send it to them, but I like the email. I like the email, right? So thanks. And then if you want to create a call to action, like if you were sending it to somebody that wasn't Janice, that was just like on an email list from a local farm or something like that, okay? And then here are your internal coach notes. Okay, so this is low supply, high absorption. So what's the conversation that we're going to have? Again, if you walk into somebody's house and you're nerdy like me and you go, look, guys, here's where we're at. We're low supply, high absorption at the micro neighborhood level. We got an absorption rate of 1.8 sales per month against 5 active listings. So monthly supply is sitting around 2.7. What are most sellers going to look at you like if you say that to them? They're going to be like, that just, I have no idea what you just said, right? So this takes what we know to be true and what information we can properly like decipher, and it puts it into a nice email that says, hey, Janice, here's what all this means, like without even telling her what the statistics are on the front end, because she doesn't care about the statistics. She cares about this right here. Like, in fact, we can fine tune this knowing that she's not thinking about buying. We probably fine tune this and just remove this piece here, and I might remove this piece here because she doesn't need a call to action. So now all I'm doing is I'm going to go, if you're thinking about selling, or I can change this to say, since you're thinking about selling, or since you'll be selling next year, right now the conditions are in your favor. We just have to make sure that we have pricing accuracy and homes that are priced realistically from the starter ones that are selling fast and for the most money. And that's the information that Janice wants. She doesn't care about this absorption rate stuff. She just wants to know, is my house going to sell for what I want for it? Maybe. We have to talk about what that looks like. But just know if you price it right, you'll get it. Okay? So thank you, Mia, for making me open that up. I totally should have. So this is what you get. Okay? So you get your client-facing stuff, you get your client email, and then you get your agent-facing notes. Good? All right. Any other questions that I missed? How are we doing?
We're good.
Okay. Beautiful. Again, thank you, Mia, for bringing that up. I spaced that. All right, so let's go over to chat now. And I'm going to put back on.
Rashad just said, can you share this too? And I'm not exactly sure what you mean. Do you mean like share a link to this or share? What are you asking to share, Rashad? Cool. We'll circle back to that one.
Okay. Okay, so ChatGPT. This is going to come to you guys in the form of a link, okay? And how do I close this piece? I don't know how to do that. Anyway, okay. This is going to come to you in form of a link. So in this case, you actually don't have to prompt it. Workman has already built the project, which is the listing intelligence brief. Okay, so all you have to have is the link to this, which have we put it in the chat somewhere, April? Perfect. All right, so if you guys click on this link, it will open you right up to this exact page that I'm sitting on. It's already built out. You don't have to prompt it. Okay, and what it should do is it should add it as a, I don't know what they call it. Let's see if it's added in mine as a, I pinned it on mine. So once I had it open, I just pinned it in my ChatGPT. Okay, so I suggest you do the same thing. And now what's cool is we've got these couple of prompts that we can give to ChatGPT. So we'll just click on this first one here. Create a listing intelligence brief for, and we're going to use an actual address. If you can match my brand, ask me to upload my logo, logos, colors, brand guide, that type of stuff. And some of you might already have this stuff embedded into your ChatGPT. Okay, so here it says, absolutely, I can build a property-specific listing intelligence brief with verified public record research, market comparable analysis, pricing scenarios, seller frame network, that type of stuff. Okay, so all you have to do is put in your full property address, okay, your branding assets if you want them, okay, And then once it has it, then it can research the property. Well, what I like to do is I will take, because I'm looking at Janice's actual listing, I'm going to give it Janice's address. And Janice lives at 4750 West 102nd Place. And that's Westminster, Colorado 80031. And then I've already done the work for the market statistics. So I'm just going to give it the same data. So I've also included the last 6 months of market stats. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'm just going to add that same file, okay, that I downloaded or that I created yesterday, that export. So here we go. Here's my Highland Green stats. And I'm going to give it the same data. And now I want it to create this listing intelligence brief, but now it's property specific. Now it's not just market general for Highland Greens. And by the way, guys, that macro piece of Claude, I did it in a pretty small neighborhood. You could grab way more than that. You could do it for the entire Westminster market. You could do it for the entire Denver metro. That's up to you guys, what you want Claude to do there, and based on the client that you're working with. So let's say you're working with a buyer that's looking in Westminster, Arvada, Broomfield. Well, that's a tri-city area. That's way bigger than just Highland Greens. So just have Claude do it for those 3 areas. I just did it because I like to use it for, like, hey, just do this market or this particular neighborhood, because I think it's a phenomenal tool for your C lead sellers. So people who are looking to sell in the next 12 months that we know we either can or can't move them up. That's my excuse for reaching out once a month, which is what we do for C leads. So again, Janice is like, I'm not selling for 12 months. No problem, Janice. Do you mind if I keep in touch once a month with you just to give you market updates and let you know where you're at? And she's going to say yes, because I'm providing value for her. If she wants to sell next year, she's absolutely going to want to know what the market's doing in the meantime. Okay. All right. So now that we've got ChatGPT fired up here, ready to go, we're going to put this in here. We just give them the address. I gave them the market stats. Okay. It's going to take it. And now you can see it's going to do its little thing here. I think this can take 30 seconds or a minute or something like that going through the data. And then it's going to create your full-on listing intelligence brief. So let's give it the time that it needs. And then let me double check for questions here. Joan, you put in their custom GPT. Is that a question or?
I didn't know if it was a question or just an observation, but it is a custom GPT that we built. So
maybe
I was like, yep.
That's where you find it in here. Maybe there's a thing that shows custom GPTs. Is that right?
You can build them yourself, a custom GPT yourself, but this is already built for you.
Cool. Yep, that's the nice thing, is this is built. And Harry, yes, that's true. You can just put in the address and it will pull market data itself. In my case, I want it aligned with the data that I already pulled with Claude. So that's why I do it this way. But yes, 100%, you can just put in the address, and it probably won't take as long that way. So here we go. So I don't know, that took 1 minute and 16 seconds. So I've incorporated the Highland Green 6-month MLS export and cross-checked the subject against current facing properties. Okay. Now, the reason I use this property is because I'm very familiar with it. It is one of my old houses, and I sold it about 1.5 years ago or something like that. So, and I'm very familiar with the neighborhood. So here we go. So we get an executive summary or an executive strategy. Okay, here's the strongest market position. Okay, gives us information, total information about the property. Okay, we got appointment positioning. This should not be presented as a generic Highland Greens house. The argument for premium depends on proving that its renovation level, outdoor experience, finished square footage, and greenbelt relationship and overall presentation remains superior. That is true. So this particular property is one of the nicest properties in the neighborhood. It's got a beautiful outdoor living space. Like this is a premium home in the neighborhood. And in fact, last year sold for the highest that anything sold in this neighborhood for. So ChatGPT is recognizing that. It's also going to recognize, because it thinks this is Janice's home and it thinks that she wants to sell it. It's also going to recognize, like, hey, she sold this and she got a premium for it, or she bought this and she paid a premium for it just a couple years ago or a year ago. What has the market done since? So it's going to recognize that. It knows when she purchased the property. So here we go. So here's your main pricing issues. The home listed for $825 in May of 2024. So, okay, so it's been 2 years now, and closed for $840, right? So if we're going to list this house, we know that Janice bought this house for $840 on June 25th of 2024. So they have a very recent benchmark at $840 attached to the property, okay? However, this brief shows that the more relevant recent larger homes are generally closing in the low to mid 700s. Ouch. Did Janice overpay for this property in May? I don't know. Let's keep reading, right? So while the property sold for 2024 and what today's buyers are demonstrating they will pay are two different options. Don't challenge the $840,000 history, use it. Okay, so it's teaching us how we go through this. Then show how current competing choices have changed. Right, bestseller opportunity. The home appears capable of competing in the upper end of Highland Green's range based on condition. Okay, largest uncertainty. It requires verification. You haven't been to the property yet. Are you sure that it still looks as nice as it did when it sold for $840 in 2024? I don't know. Maybe Janice has destroyed the house. Maybe she's done upgrades. Maybe it's worth $900 now. I don't know. Okay, so appointment strategy. Lead the discussion in this order. What are your goals? What are your reason for moving? Okay, I promise that is the most important thing to talk about in a listing like this. When you go into a listing, preemptively knowing that they paid peak value in one of the last probably 4 years in pretty much anywhere in the United States and Canada, we might have a problem, right? Somebody paid peak pricing in 2022, 2023, 2024, 2025. Them selling in 2026 is going to be a tough one, because I don't know how many markets have appreciated much of beyond 6, 7, 8, 10% since any of that peak pricing, right? So what has changed? Have you done anything big that I need to know about, right? All of these different things. And then here's where your property verification is, and summary of the home. Make sure all of this stuff is correct. 5 highest priority verifications. You need to make sure that the condition is similar or better than the 2024 listing photography, which is what ChatGPT used to verify condition. Okay. And by the way, for those of you that don't have the paid version, I think that it's possible that the non-paid version does not look at photographs. I feel like I learned that somewhere recently. So the paid version, it'll look at photographs and it'll evaluate. So you can give it a link to this property and it'll look at photos. I think the free version may not do that. Somebody might be able to verify that. Okay, here's your risks and discrepancies, finished square footage, automated valuations, property condition, comparable analysis. Okay, so it's running comps, most relevant evidence. These are your other closed properties here. It's also evaluating, again, it is evaluating the pictures and things like that. Here's our strongest comp. High side evidence is the sale itself. Okay. Low side risk evidence. Most important current competition. Okay, is this one that is a little bit bigger. It's originally listed for $815 and now it looks like it's currently at $765, so $50,000 reduction. Okay, so here we go. Pricing strategy. Where do we think we need to be at? Well, based on comp, 760 to 810. So did Janice potentially overpay for the property in 2024? Yeah. And I know that they did because I'm the one that sold it and it was my home. And I take pride in the fact that I'm a pretty good agent and I get people to get emotional about their purchases and overpay for the property. So did I do a good job making this person overpay for their property and put more money in my pocket? I think I did. They paid $15,000 over list price in 2024, which was not a great seller's market, but we positioned the home really well to try to make that happen, right? Okay, so here we go. What a tough piece of data I have to come to Janice with about, right? Like, hey Janice, I know you paid $840 for it 2 years ago, but we might be somewhere in the $760 to $820 range, and if you really want to get aspirational, we might be able to sell what you bought it for, right? And I would encourage you guys to always double check this against your, what you find in the MLS, because you just never know. I will tell you that I could probably refute this slightly. I don't know that this is aspirational. It's a highly desirable neighborhood, and I think you could probably sell it for what you paid for it now. So could they get this? Yeah, I think they probably could. Right? Somewhere in this area. So I don't know that I would go in and advise Janice to sell for one of these. I would probably go in and tell her, I think we can probably get what you paid for it. I just don't know that there's a whole lot of equity there. Okay. Seller net estimate sheet. If once you fill everything out, if you gave it all the information, it'll create that for you. Okay. Here's a quick strategy guide for you. 14-day launch plan for how you want to sell the property. 10 seller questions for the appointment, which we can then use this and go into our role play bot and work on those things. And then preparing for the objection, right? And you know we're going to hear it. Janice is going to tell me, Nick, we paid $840 2 years ago. You were our agent. You told us it was a good deal at $840. Now what? And I'm going to say, Janice, it was a good deal at the time. Like for you to get that home at that time, that's what you needed to get. Like nowhere in that time frame did I tell you that if you sold within 2 years, I guarantee you make a profit. Like we didn't have that conversation. You just said, I really want this home. What do we have to do to get it? And I was like, Janice, I think you need to be 15K above list price because there's already 2 offers in hand. So now here we are, right? So Zillow says it's worth 827. Let's start high. We can always come down. We have all these conversations we have. So we prepare with these objections. This is where I love the Workman bot, which we'll do next. Janice, did you have something? You kind of raised your hand. Or is that for somebody else? Okay. April, were you saying something?
No, I was just excited to see what's next. I
Cool.
like the flow you're taking us through on this, so it's cool.
Yeah. So now what we'll do is I like to take these objections and then we take them to the role play bot. Okay. So we'll do that next. So anyway, this is everything that it gives you. And this is from a prompted, like built out GPT that's already there. So all you got to do is tap the address in and look at this amazing data that we get, right? This is a massive time saver. So now you're getting ready for your appointment and you're like, you know what? I got to prepare for this. I have a feeling Janice is not going to be happy with the 840 that she paid. And I think it's maybe worth 8.25 now. I need to know how to have that conversation and overcome these concerns. Okay. So your next piece is this is the piece that we built out that all you guys have access to. So I believe we're going to put it in the chat right now for you. Okay. So we'll drop this in the chat. This is the role play bot. This is a proprietary role play bot built by Workman within Workman using what we know to be true with our, hundreds or thousands of coaching clients and all the people that we've coached over the years. We've taught it objections. We've taught it how to, this thing is just trained to be a real estate client and or a real estate professional. Okay. So what you're going to do is this is kind of what the interaction is going to look like. You're going to tell the bot what you want it to do. You can also click here and it'll teach you, there's some guidelines on how to prompt this AI bot. I won't go through that. You can look at that yourself, but I'm going to just teach you how to do it right now because I think it's, I don't know. I just think it's not that hard. You're going to tell the bot exactly what you want it to do and what the situation is. And then you get to choose difficulty level. Like, do I know Janice as a hard-nosed negotiating client? Do I know her as she's kind of a soft rollover? She's just going to go, Nick, we just trust you and we love you. And, we just, whatever you tell us to do, we're going to do. We can prompt ChatGPT, or we can prompt the Workman AI bot to build that or to have that conversation with it. So all we're going to do is we're going to tell it what we're doing. I'm going on a listing appointment. Let's see, appointment with Janice. My goal is to get listing paperwork signed. Her objections will likely be that the house is worth less now than what she paid for it 2 years ago, and also likely worth less than Zillow currently says it's worth. She still has equity in the property from using a large down payment in 2024. And we know that because we can look at public record and see their mortgage amount, right? Because we want to know that. That's two different conversations, right? Like, is Janice going to have to come to the table with money, or is she just going to walk away with less than she originally put into the property? Those are two very different conversations. You guys probably know that, right? Like, bringing money to the table is very different than being like, well, I put a down payment of 150 in and I'm only going to walk away with 135. That sucks, but it's still something. Versus Janice goes, I have no money in my account. I can't sell this if I don't get X amount of money for it, right? All right, so client's perspective, the user will describe the viewpoint of the client at the beginning. Okay, the user defines the state of affairs, potential objections. I like to give it my objections. Okay, the objective is what I want to achieve. Well, I want to get my listing paperwork signed. Okay, so I'll give it one more thing. You will play the role of Janice and let's see, having an in-person conversation at the house after we have toured the home. Okay, and then I'm going to give it a challenge level. So I am going to encourage you guys, and I'm going to give you kind of what this looks like. 1 through 5 is an absolute laydown. I could be a horrible agent, and Janice is going to hire me. So you can start it on 1 through 5 if you want, but they're gonna do whatever you tell it to do. 6 is still pretty easy. 7, 8, 9, and 10 are more real life. So a 6 and a 7 might be a friend or a family member or a sphere of influence. An 8 or a 9 is going to be like you called an expired, and it's somebody you don't know, and they don't care if they personally offend you. They're never going to see you again. And a 10 is very, very difficult. A 10. I don't know that I've ever gotten an appointment on 10. I have tried many times, and even if I can, 10's hard to even hold a conversation with. It'll just disconnect you or cut you off or be like, yeah, I think we're done here. I've been able to maintain conversation with it, but I have been unable to get like an appointment. So I would try to get yourself to 7, 8, 9 is where you want to do this. So we'll go challenge level 7. Okay. We submit that. It's going to say, great, I understand what I'm doing. It may ask you for another prompt question. Okay.
Does the client, Janice, currently own or rent this home?
She owns it. It's now prompting me.
Step 2. Objections besides. Believing the house.
Harry, do you know, can it just use what I already gave it?
Are there any other potential objections Janice may have? E.g., commission, timing, afraid of being under.
You can just tell it to use the content that you provided, and you can also uncheck the voice if it bothers you.
All right, let's see if it does it here.
Step 3. Objective of the role play what? Is the primary objective of this role play with Janice? Scheduling a follow-up appointment, getting a listing agreement, signed, getting her to agree to a specific price, strategy, something else.
How do you mute it all the time?
Step
Down
4.
here? Got it. Okay. Challenge level 7. Okay, so let's see if it will do it now. Okay, here we go. So now what's going to happen is we're going to say, I'll just do, so Janice, thanks for showing me the home. Tell me what your ultimate goal is. Okay, and that was what chat told us to do, right? Like, what is it that we're trying to figure out? My goal is pretty simple. I don't want to lose money. Okay, great. We bought it 2 years ago. Perfect. So I know that might be a possibility. So I'm going to go down. I know from a seller standpoint that or from a listing agent standpoint, I got to learn more about this. It's not just that you want to lose money. Why are you moving, right? It's not that you don't want to lose money. Why are you moving? Where are you going? What does that mean for you? Oh, well, I'm moving because we don't want to be in Colorado anymore because the altitude and the sun is killing us. Okay, so it's not about losing money. It's about like your health. I got to get to that point, right? So here we go. I don't want to lose money. So understood. We create validation, right? We always create validation with the clients. Understood. More importantly, if you sell the property, let's go when you sell the property. Let's be assumptive. And again, I don't know what the answer is going to be. It's a role play bot. It's just making it up. Okay, my plan is to get closer to working in something a little bit lower maintenance. Perfect. So now it's not about losing money anymore, right? So now as a listing agent, I already pushed them off of what they think is the most important thing. That's the problem, is too many times we got to get our clients out of their own way, right? Losing money isn't the problem. It's they don't like how much maintenance this house causes, and they don't like their commute to work. So now if I had to tell them like, hey, if let's say I think they're going to lose 15 grand on the house, and I said to them, I said, Janice, for $15,000, if you could walk to work every day and not have to do any maintenance on your house, would that be worth it? Would you trade 15 grand for that? And people might be like, yeah, okay, so why are we worried so much about selling the property for 825 when it helps you achieve the real goal, which is getting close and something a little lower maintenance? Okay, so I've been looking at other neighborhoods. I don't have to move, but I'd really like to. I just don't want to give up tens of thousands of dollars to do it. So it's going to keep reiterating some of these objections, right? I feel like if I'm taking a hit on this house, it kind of kills the whole next chapter idea. Perfect. So understood. Again, I'm always just gonna validate. Somebody want to give me how I want to overcome this objection real quick? We only got a few minutes left, so I'll let somebody tell me. What would you say to this seller right now? And this is the great thing. Here you have time to think about it, but when you're put on the spot in somebody's house, you better know how to answer, right? Anybody want to give me a response to this? All right, I'll put it in. Okay, so understood. We're validating the feelings, right? So what's the next? What's the dream? What's the next chapter? I want to get into something a little smaller and a little lower maintenance. Okay, understood. So she says she doesn't want to lose money. Okay, understood. If the next home is a smaller, lower maintenance property, and it's less expensive to purchase and less expensive to maintain, and your monthly payment is lower, wouldn't that help offset the small loss? So now what I'm doing is I'm saying, look, we're still worried about money, but the thing is, you know, so and this is what a 7 does. By the way, if you did this on 5 or 4, it would be like, that makes a ton of sense. Let's move forward. Where do I sign? It's going to keep pushing depending on the level. Lower payment, smaller place, less to maintain. That's all I want. Great. What I'm struggling with is the idea of selling this house for less than what I bought it for. It feels like I'd be locking in a loss. And I keep saying, cool. So part of me wonders why I would just wait a year or two and hope the value comes back. Okay. To me, we won't keep going because we're running out of time. But to me, this is very simple. Why wouldn't I just wait a year or two? Because what if in a year or two it becomes worth 25K less than it is right now? And let's be perfectly honest, my next overcoming of objection here is, yeah, but if you sell for a 15K, what you feel is a loss, when you go purchase your next home, you're going to be buying in that same buyer's market and we'll get a deal on your next home. So it's all relative. If you're buying and selling, by the way, in any market, it doesn't matter what the market's doing. Like when somebody's like, oh, is it a seller's market or a buyer's market? I can tell you it doesn't matter if you're doing both, because you're going to be at an advantage on one and a disadvantage on the other. So unless you're one of the very few buyers that has the ability to sell now and buy later, or buy now and sell later, and think that you can predict the future market, it's all irrelevant. So I love that question when people ask me, well, you know, I don't want to sell during a bad seller's market. Yeah, but you're going to buy. So if it's a bad seller's market, you're going to make up for it on the buy side. So let's not worry about that. Okay, so this is what the chatbot looks like. So you can see, you can take all the data that you just did, take the objections that it gives you, start pushing through those, and then get the experience before you actually go on the appointment of knowing, like, instead of sitting here thinking, what would I say? It's like, here you have the time to do it. Here you have the time to practice. You don't have the time when you're sitting in front of the client. All right. All right, guys, any quick questions before we hop off? Let's see here. Oh, Janice left early. I was selling her house and she left 10 minutes. If you wait a year or two to sell, the price of the other home will likely go up equally. Totally. Jen, love it. And then let's see, Harry. Oh, yes. I didn't get to that point. And I'm sorry, we get 2 minutes left. I want to answer questions. But yes, once you finish out the role play bot at the end, when you either get the appointment or you don't, and you finalize it, it'll give you feedback. So it'll say, here's what you could have said instead. Here's something that you could have said to overcome this objection. So I think that's super, super valuable. And even if you get to a point where you're halfway through the chat and you're like, okay, I've got what I needed, go ahead and end this role play and give me my feedback. It will do that as well. So we could have just ended it with that. Does anybody have any other questions on these tools? And make sure you guys save these links. Like these are super valuable tools and they're awesome. Any other questions? All right. I hope that was helpful. I think we had a good group today. Did I see at some point we had 40 some people in here, April? Was that, they weren't all panelists, but I think I saw at one point.
Yeah, there's about 42, and people come and go. So it was
Oh,
exciting to see, and everyone was really great in the chat.
good
And
group.
we will send an email and a replay of this webinar. So everyone, because we did cover a lot of stuff in a short amount of time, so everyone can kind of go back and watch that. So look for that in your email.
Absolutely. Yes. Will we email those links too? Will we
Yes.
include links? Perfect.
Yeah, the links will go out right after this, and then we'll send the replay tomorrow.
Awesome. Well, guys, thanks for joining me today. Thanks for hanging with me. I know that was a lot in an hour, but we wanted to get through it all, and know that you always have the opportunity to see the replay and go in and just play with the tools. And if you have questions, just email somebody send a message over to Workman. Somebody will hop in and be happy to walk you through it and chat through some things. So, Harry, Taylor, April, did I miss anything?
Oh, great job, everybody. Look for your emails for sure. If you want any extra help with anything or you're wondering what to do next with your real estate business, there is an opportunity in the email to schedule a free 15-minute session with us just to see what's next for you.
Absolutely. Thanks, April. Appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. Take care.
Bye. Thank you.